Right here is symbolic of what it's all about. This is the world's heavyweight title. And when I say this, I mean it in all sincerity. The world's heavyweight title, held by Harley Race.
Greetings, pro wrestling fans, and thank you for joining us at the Pro Wrestling LookBack Podcast. I'm Nick, and I'm sitting here with...
Nick.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah.
It's good to have you, Nick.
Thanks, man. I really love being here.
Yeah, well, I'm always talking to myself in the third person, but I feel like this is going to get really weird with two Nicks.
Probably will.
But it's nice to have you. You haven't been on the show before, but we're happy to have you here, and we're going to talk all about you being a casual wrestling fan tonight.
Sounds good.
Should be good. If you haven't already, though, guys, check us out on Instagram and Twitter at PWLookBack. Give us a follow, give us a subscribe, hit the 5 stars over on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, we are available. Send us an email, prowrestlinglookback@gmail.com if you want to get in contact with us, or you can send us a DM on Twitter and or Instagram. That works as well. Teespring.com. Newell, you told me you want a backpack. I keep teasing it. Should I make the backpack?
I think you should, because I kind of want one.
All right. Well, we're making the backpack for Nick then. So stay tuned for the backpack, maybe the cup. But if you want to get a t-shirt or a mug, teespring.com/pro-wrestling-lookback podcast is where you can get all that. I think that's pretty much everything out of the way, but you can follow me if you want on Twitter at Salsa, SCELSA. Donovan is at JustDon44. And Newell?
I'm Newell31 on Instagram. And
there you go. Give him a follow. Nick Newell is the full name for anybody who wasn't sure why I was calling him Newell. But one other thing, want to let everybody know, we've gotten a new sponsor to the show.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's going to be great. Pure Oxide CBD Oils is now sponsoring the Pro Wrestling LookBack Podcast. If you would like to get any of this premium CBD oil, get in contact with them on Instagram and Twitter at Pure Oxide CBD. This stuff's amazing. I've just started using it myself, honestly, Newell, and it's more of a muscle relaxer and kind of to get people off of painkillers and that kind of stuff. And myself, I found the benefits more in the mental game. Really, I find myself more clear at work, and I've only been taking it for a few days, but anybody who's interested in the CBD oil, look up these guys, Pure Oxide. They're a Canadian company, 100% legal, omega-3, 6, 9, Canadian product, like I said, GMO, THC free, gluten and chemical free, and we'll be having more stuff, like I said, going forward on the Look Back in collaboration with Pure Oxide. But like I said, if you want to get any of that stuff, hit them up on Instagram, Pure Oxide CBD. Other than that, Newell, this is the roundtable. I didn't get to it earlier, but everybody knows, I'm pretty sure at this point, if they've been checking out the show. If you haven't, thank you for checking out the show for the first time. But this is the roundtable, episode 47.
47.
With myself, Nick. And
Nick.
Two Nicks sitting in. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to shoot the shit with you as far as casual wrestling fans go. These episodes kind of are some of my favorite because I can't look at wrestling the way you and or somebody else who's even somebody who watches less wrestling than you. I can't watch wrestling with those eyes. I can't put those spectacles on.
I know that because I've totally asked you questions and you've like looked at me. You're like, dude, you just noticed that? Like, I don't even notice that.
Yeah. So, that's what I said that to you before we hit record, too. And that's one of those things where I think I'm so tapped into the product and so engaged, and I've seen so many episodes of Raw consecutively in a row that some things that you would notice go over my head, and then other things that I'm so inclined to pick up on that I notice you don't pick up on.
Right.
So it's cool to see the differences, like, I don't know, like camera work, let's say. I would be, I like how the cameraman was standing here and he put down the camera at the end of the segment, whereas I don't think that's something you would pick up on from a production standpoint, right?
There is a couple times where I've like thought about camera angles and stuff, and that's where we've kind of talked about it.
For sure.
But I haven't really it's
gone
never
into
been
that aspect.
Into that like whole thing of where I'm like, yeah, that camera angle's amazing. Like, let's,
Or I would rather than put the camera here. It makes more, like, because I pick up on things sometimes where, for example, on SmackDown this week, there was a segment with Roman Reigns, and there was a scaffolding that had fallen on Roman Reigns. And don't get me wrong, this segment, I'm not trying to give it all the best praise because it wasn't amazing and there was some bad camera angles. But I like the wide shot at the beginning where you can see the reporter and then the camera turns and you can see Roman walking down the hall. And then I love once this scaffolding thing, who we will find out next week as far as, why it fell on Roman or who dropped it on Roman. But when it fell, the cameraman put the camera on the ground, kind of implying like, maybe we should see if this guy's okay and not just film everything. Right. And then the next shot is another cameraman running down the hallway, which to me is like, okay, another guy's coming down to see what happened, whereas this cameraman is going to see if Roman's okay.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? That cameraman running is like a good way of like, it shows that this was not really like fully planned.
Totally. Exactly. No, and you've said that to me before. Like I guess we'll get into it now. There was something this week on Raw where, and we'll get into Raw later on the show, but it was the tag. You had kind of said like, oh, was there I don't think that guy got tagged. Was he tagged in? And I'm like, oh, I didn't even pick up on it. And it's funny that the casual fan notices that sporting stuff, the rules. Whereas like sometimes I think the rules go over my head because I'm so invested in the storyline, or I'm so trying to see what the quote unquote finish of the match is going to be.
Right.
That I'm not like, it's not that I'm not paying attention to the rules, but it's maybe they go over my head because I'm looking at other things. Whereas you're looking at it from almost a sporting perspective.
Yeah, which I think like, especially when it comes with the match wise too, I kind of want to see more of the rules followed as far as, a tag and that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we'll get more into this stuff tonight on the show, or today, or this morning, or whenever you're listening to the show. As always, we thank you for the download and the listen. But tonight we're going to get into some questions with Nick, like we just did, kind of about being a casual fan. We're going to go straight into the F1 update after that. Then me and Nick are going to kind of give our breakdown-ish of Raw, talk about Nick watching Raw with us over the last 4 to 5 months. Shout out to our boy Herdy, who's back in Germany, who watched a lot of episodes of Raw with us.
Miss you, buddy.
And yeah, we'll get him. We're going to try and get him on a Skype episode or something, because I can't believe the guy was home for the first time ever for 6 months straight because he plays hockey on this side of the world. And we didn't do a show with him. So that's our bad. But, yeah, I don't know, Stone Cold. I'm not sure. What?
Everybody's busy. So
yeah. This is true. This is very true. But before we dive into that other stuff, Nick, I wanted just for, me and Donovan, we always kind of get into some random topics and stuff at the beginning of the show. But I just wanted to bring it up again, and anybody who's not interested, maybe hit the little 15-second button, I'm not sure, but I'm still hooked on this Magicians of the Gods, America Before, Graham Hancock stuff. This, I don't know if you listened to the show last week, Newell, but...
Yeah, you were talking about it last week about, like...
just the ancient civilization stuff, and the Egypt, and the pyramids, and the snake mounds, and Göbekli Tepe. I'm only talking about it on here because I feel like I said, this show's kind of melded into just our thoughts of the week. But I went ahead and bought the book, Magicians of the Gods, and I think you were with me on the Saturday when we all went out with Herdy's last day. I picked up the book, fucking incredible. I'm slowly making my way through it. I'm not the most avid reader, yeah. And then I went out on Tuesday. Well, I didn't go out. I didn't go anywhere. I went on Amazon and picked up the audiobook for America Before, which is his one book after.
Right. So then you can like listen to it when you're at work and stuff.
Exactly. So I've been listening to that at work, and just the first chapter, he's been going into a lot of this stuff about this it's called the Serpent Mound, and it's in Ohio, and it's this like snake that's kind of been raised up out of the ground, but it looks like a snake, and then on the certain day of the solstice, the sun rises and sets like directly in front of the head. It's just one of these things where they assume this snake mound, this serpent mound, is so it's called, has been there for a lot longer than we say people have been in North America, and that's kind of the crux of the book in talking about America before and what was here maybe before we say what was here or we think what was here. So I don't know. Just wanted to give another plug to that stuff, because anybody who's remotely interested in it, go check it out. It might consume you the way it's consumed me over the last 3 weeks.
It's trippy to think about, like, what was here before us.
Yeah, or even before the things that we think were here before us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, think about it even now, like us being as, like, adults now.
Mm-hmm.
When we were kids, like, back behind your house was a big mound.
Oh, dude.
And now it's a fresco and a plaza.
Development, yeah. And I'm talking way bigger scale than that, but But I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
It's just the whole thing. Like, yeah, but like to think about like
ancient civilizations
everything wiped out of here that we see today.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of all this, and I don't even know if this was 100% true, but I seen it on an Instagram page, and then I did some research, so I think it was true. But apparently yesterday or the day before, if you're listening the day it came out, but it doesn't really matter, recently as far as when this episode was released, we got missed by an asteroid the size of the fucking Empire State Building like 2 days ago.
What?
That would have like destroyed an entire city the size of New York.
Dude, you want to know what's so trippy? I literally was standing on a roof 2 days ago looking down, and I was like, it's funny how everybody kept saying that the world was going to end in 2012.
Yeah, based on a calendar, of course.
Yeah, based on a calendar. And here we are in 2019, and I'm sitting there standing on a roof, and this legit was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And you just tell me this now. Like,
yeah, apparently this asteroid, meteor, comet, I honestly want to know. I'm going to do some research on that because I don't know the difference between an asteroid, a meteor, a comet. I think a comet's smaller. I feel like an asteroid is something that would be out in space, and then a meteor is something coming towards Earth, bigger. I don't know. Anyway, the comet apparently was closer to the Earth than the moon is to the Earth.
Really?
So that's pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
If you don't ask me, but I guess we can go forward. The only other thing I wanted to shout out Newell, our fucking boy here, and give you the classic. Wait for it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know already, our studio hasn't always been quality internet connection, but our boy Nick hooked us up, and we got full internet in the shed. This is definitely going to help on the LookBack shows, potentially on some roundtables, but either way, thank you, Nick. We appreciate it. We at the Pro Wrestling LookBack appreciate your services helping out our studio.
You're welcome. Next time, just have your mom make me pasta again.
Oh, there you go. Deal. All right, Nick. The casual fan's perspective. Let's get into it.
Alrighty.
You've been watching Raw with us for 3 months, 2 months?
I honestly think it's been longer. Maybe
4 months or so. But we watch it, but we don't fully engage.
Yeah,
I'd say there's a lot of us usually here, and I don't want to say you've been watching, with peeled back eyes for 4 months because we definitely haven't.
No.
So I really want to get into this stuff that we talked about at the beginning of the show, and just, well, first I want to let everybody know too, like, you are a casual fan in the sense that you'll sit down with the boys and you'll watch Raw on a weekly basis, but you're not Googling results.
Right.
You're not sitting down to find out, what happened on SmackDown, let alone sit down and watch SmackDown. You're not watching NXT or any other AEW.
Yeah, no. If I go home, like, I'm not going
you're
home
not
to
on
watch wrestling.
Exactly.
Right?
You're not going on YouTube to look up, classic matches from the 90s and the Attitude Era and whatever. You're not watching little indie promotions. You are a true casual fan.
Yeah.
In the sense of the word, which, like I said at the beginning, I love getting that perspective because I can't view the product with those eyes.
Right. It makes you change your perspective of what you see compared to, like, what I actually see and what...
Exactly, because like I said, you are not somebody that's going to go home and Google the results.
Yeah, other than today.
Which I want to get into, because you knew you were coming on the show today. So what did you do for the first time ever today?
Okay, so for the first time ever today, I literally typed in all the pro wrestlers in Raw right now.
So you literally typed in Raw pro wrestlers.
Yeah, and then WWE came up right away.
And you went to their website.
And I just went to their website, and I was like, okay, might as well just go to their website. And actually, it kind of worked out perfect because right as soon as you get on their website, it comes up with all the champions.
Perfect. So it showed you who the champion. You kind of get a refresher.
Yeah. So it came up with the Universal Champion of Brock Lesnar and Becky Lynch and everybody else.
Bailey.
So, yeah, and Bailey and even the SmackDown. Yeah, like Bailey.
Yep.
It showed me that
both shows.
Yeah, and I mean, like
Nakamura, I'm sure was there with the U.S. title.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah. There was, and then also went into the NXT stuff.
Okay. So did you take a look at any of that stuff?
I didn't really know, just because I knew we weren't really talking about it.
Fair enough. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe in the future, if we get you back on the show.
Yeah.
We should actually maybe get you over sometime. And anybody listeners might not be happy about that, but I'm not a frequent NXT watcher anymore.
Oh no.
It's just not. I feel like, I'm into other stuff, obviously with the F1 update on the show and fucking Ancient Civilizations lately, but I just, with 5 hours between Monday Night Raw being 3 hours and SmackDown being, another 2 hours, and then maybe AEW coming later. Well, not maybe. They're coming later, but maybe me watching it consistently 2 more hours a week. It's not that I don't like NXT or I don't think it's a better product. I know most of it is a better product. It's just I like watching the top game, the top dogs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of why I've always grounded myself in WWE and stuck with that horse, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because I like the top.
Yeah, so, I totally agree with you on that because, and for the listeners out there, I'm a big hockey fan. I know hockey, and as far as it goes, I don't watch a lot of AHL.
There you go.
And I don't. I love going to the games. Me and Hurdy, shout out to Hurdy.
Yeah, our buddy
again.
who's played in the AHL. Absolutely.
Yeah, and our buddy Moo, Chris, who's
been on the show before, yep.
Yeah, and we went to the Marlies game when they were in the playoffs there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was sweet to see. Loved seeing it, that sort of thing. But, I mostly watch NHL.
The top of this.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, actually, relating to the hockey, because I have somewhere that I can bring it back with the racing. Do you find, because I don't watch much NHL anymore, let alone AHL, but do you find, because I don't know the answer to this question, that the AHL, the game itself is more competitive, more maybe edge of your seat, more thrilling, or is it not much of a difference compared to the NHL?
I find a difference
in the competitiveness, or what about it is
I more or less find it in skill level.
Better in the AHL?
No, better in the NHL.
Well, of
obviously.
course.
But when you watch AHL, I feel like competitiveness it is
a little more even keel, and some of the guys might be trying a little bit harder to get up,
to try to get up there, to try to get to the NHL, because obviously your ultimate goal
is the NHL.
Of course. That's the end all be all.
Which, bringing this full circle, anyone who's in NXT, the ultimate goal is to be on Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
Whether you think NXT is better for your character or better, a structure of a traditional pro wrestling style TV show, Raw's paying you a bigger paycheck, and you didn't grow up a little kid. I'm sorry for any of the diehard NXT fans, but you didn't fucking grow up a little kid wanting to be on NXT in front of 300 people at Full Sail University.
Yeah, exactly. Because everybody watched Raw,
no,
so everybody wanted
to main event fucking WrestleMania in front of 90,000 people, wherever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not ragging on NXT. It's just people still have to understand that as much as maybe Raw isn't the best right now, it's still the end goal.
100%.
You know what I mean? And as much as, again, NXT might have the better in-ring product, and this is what I wanted to compare it to with the racing, is Formula 1 and Formula 2. I watch Formula 2, maybe not as, avidly as I do Formula 1.
Yeah.
But the racing in Formula 2 is almost better.
Really?
Because the cars are more even keel, and all the drivers want to get fucking called up, and they want to make it to Formula 1.
Yeah, they want to make it to F1.
Not that the guys in Formula 1 don't want to leave, but it's just, it doesn't have that, maybe they might not take that extra risk.
Right.
Because they don't want to make the accident, whereas the guy in F2 might take that extra risk and risk getting in the accident to make the move.
Yeah.
And show.
Whereas if he makes that move and he lands that move,
then he might get called up one day. You know what I mean? It's going to look better down the line on that, athlete or wrestler or race car driver or hockey player or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, I don't know. I love that aspect of it.
Yeah. As far as AHL and watching that, see, I honestly, I haven't really gone into the whole thing of watching, the whole aspect of everything.
You haven't watched a lot of AHL games aside from, what Hurdy's been in and stuff? Or
yeah, kind of.
Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, sorry about that. But
No.
I'm getting mixed up. But, you asked me, do I find it's more competitive and that sort of thing? I find it is, but, me, when I'm there, I'm very concentrated, and this is because I'm a goalie.
Of
I'm
course.
very concentrated on the goalies.
And for them, I feel like it's even more trying harder
to
get called
up.
up.
That's where it's fun, especially for AHL, because they're not allowing a lot of goals because of obviously the skill level isn't top dog.
As far as the players go.
Correct, exactly.
In comparison to the NHL, obviously.
100%, yes. We're not, if you get, out to, the European leagues and that sort of thing, I mean, players are still just as good.
Oh, of course.
And,
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of NHL players end up in the European League.
No, and
sure.
I was just saying that because you were saying, lower in skill level. I didn't want to imply that these guys are
no,
low skilled.
No.
It's just when you're comparing it to the NHL. But I know what you mean, Newell, and it's I don't know. I like taking that comparison of other types of sports.
Yeah.
And relating it to wrestling and kind of to bounce off that and maybe to segue into something else. I'm curious because we mentioned it a little bit in the pre-show stuff when me and you were talking about the passing of Harley Race, which happened this week, which I regret to, forgot to at the beginning of the show. But we had our tribute at the beginning of the show, and that's kind of us at the Pro Wrestling LookBack. That's how we like to do our tributes of passing of wrestlers, is have the beginning of the roundtable start with a nice clip of that wrestler. So, like I said, I apologize now for not getting to it at the beginning of the show. But R.I.P. to legend NWA champion and WWE Hall of Famer Harley Race.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Hey, you showed me a couple of his clips from that, and I got to tell you, pretty crazy to watch some of those
hardcore,
different
style, right?
Yeah,
and slower. Like that's kind of what I was talking about.
Yeah, way slower, and you were talking about that because, like you said, like when a move is made. It's like a bigger difference.
Yeah, you don't see as much. So when you build to a move and you're seeing smaller moves lead up to this clothesline, when you haven't seen a clothesline all night,
right?
And then you see a clothesline for the first time and everybody's like, oh my God, what the fuck was that?
And then a pin, yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Whereas now a clothesline is something you do to transition to another spot.
Right.
It's not like a big, not to pinpoint the clothesline. I just mean moves back then meant more.
Yeah.
This guy's from a different genre, different era, not even Attitude Era, like obviously not Attitude Era. I'm just kind of more letting you know that kind of stuff. This guy comes from pre-Vince McMahon, pre-WWE, pre-WWF era, and then made his way in there eventually. But, one of the legends, and then, like I said, I was going to kind of transition into this, but I wanted to bring up Harley Race as well. The athletic sporting feel. So for pro wrestling and what we watch weekly nowadays in 2019, I'm curious for your opinion as to two things. One, how do you view the show? And then two, how would you like to view the show? Do you watch wrestling more as a television show like The Flash on TV or Breaking Bad, or name your favorite television show? Or are you watching it more with the set of eyes like you watch a hockey game, where this is a sport between athletes competing against each other to see who's the best and who's the champion? And like I said, to bounce off that question, I know you may view one that way already, but also kind of think about and maybe let me know, which would you prefer to view it as? Because even if you view it as a television show now, you can still in your head think like, I would rather be watching this more like a sport.
See, I think now that you've said it like that, I kind of view it as both almost. And
that's a good fucking answer, Newell.
That's just because of the storylines behind everything and the storylines leading up to everything.
Yeah.
Like, the one that really sticks out to me is Lacey Evans and Becky Lynch. Like, that whole storyline of when Becky had 2 belts.
Yep, Becky 2 belts.
And, she sat there and, Lacey Evans kept sitting there like, I'm going to disgrace you at,
Extreme Rules.
Yeah, at Extreme Rules. And
I think they fought at another pay-per-view prior. Stomping Grounds.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I think it was Stomping Grounds.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so I think as far as when it came to the whole storyline of that, I viewed it more as a TV show.
Okay.
And then when it gets into like the wrestling,
when the bell rings
and everything, that's where I get into the sport and the rules. And
because you're big on the rules.
Yeah,
that's something I want to get into too.
And it's just because rules are made in order to make a sport fun and make it competitive
and
as well.
Have some order.
And have some order, exactly. And that's where, and I'll be honest with you, is the only reason why I ended up getting really into this, and it was obviously for the boys, to sit down with the boys, see you, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but then you started watching some of the wrestling, and you're thinking, this isn't so bad.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, exactly.
Once you get past the curtains.
And the only thing that really got me past that was listening to your podcast that you did with Dawn and
Younger, maybe?
No, it wasn't Younger. No, it was with those guys out of Toronto.
Oh, the Stringers podcast.
Yeah, the Stringers pod. Thank
Shout
you.
out to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
that was back in February.
I listened to that. Yeah, I listened to that, and I tell you, when just listening to them and asking you the questions on, the whole wrestling and everything,
and just us breaking it down from maybe a different perspective that you had never heard before.
It really made me kind of get it in that perspective, because before I usually just looked at it as, oh, this is just wrestling, it's just fake, like what the heck am I here for?
Yeah. I think what was good with that episode specifically on the Stringers was we had a good collection of 4 of us, in the sense that we had Clayton, who had maybe watched a tiny little bit of wrestling when he was a kid, very unfamiliar with it. Sean, who he works with directly, who is huge into wrestling but knows a lot more of the outside WWE stuff.
Okay.
And then you had me and Donovan, who are more WWE, but we kind of know a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So the conversation between the 4 of us, it turned out really good. Anybody who hasn't listened to that, who is a Pro Wrestling Look Back listener, go look up the Stringers podcast on iTunes, Apple, Spotify, everywhere. And look for the Pro Wrestling Look Back crossover episode.
Yeah, listeners, give it a listen. Believe me, you won't be sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to them for that, and cool that you remembered that episode too, Noel. But back to the sporting, I like what you're going with this melding of the two, because you're right. When we get our storylines and our promos and our vignettes and our backstage videos and our all these little things that we get that stitch the matches together, I guess you could say, they are the TV show.
Yes.
And then the match itself, again, you're right, is more like a sport. And I think if you look at both of them, I mean, it's hard to look at the vignettes and stuff and treat that like a sport, but it would be cool for me to sit down with you, and I don't know where I'm going off topic or not, but to sit down with you and watch a couple matches and see if I can pull out the stories in the matches and get, because trust me, I love the sporting aspect of it too, and I like what you're going with it's a little bit of both, because it is a little bit of both, and I'm happy you said that. But I love when you can watch a wrestling match, a 20-minute, 30-minute match, and that match is a story.
And you know what? I totally agree with you on that, because and I've especially noticed it watching Raw, obviously, is seeing the quick matches, like. And,
pointless sometimes.
Yeah, pointless, totally. And I mean, these guys will sit there and, they'll, like, the biggest guy, like Brock Lesnar, will come out, face some, whoever.
He doesn't fight much on Raw, but I know what you mean. There's a lot of matches on Raw that 5-10 minute matches with a commercial in the middle, and it doesn't lead somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? So that's when the sporting aspect comes into play, into maybe we should have some sort of ranking system that decides when you lose a match on Raw, it matters. So that means that winning a match means something, and you want to win.
Yeah.
So because when you do win, good things happen.
See, and I think that's where I'd probably get more into it as far as the sporting aspect, because there would be like, okay, the first place right now is
you would prefer that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something me and Donovan get into a lot, as far as having a ranking system on Raw or SmackDown or maybe even in just WWE total. But
I think it's kind of cool to see, because like you kind of you look at it as like, okay, the first place, just for out of the blue, like when I went on the WWE wrestling thing,
the website,
the first person that showed up was the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
So I mean, put it this way, like say he was the first, like he's first, like he's and then he's fighting Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. Maybe not after that beatdown.
Yeah, we don't know. We're going to talk more about that later, as far as Seth getting his fucking ass handed to him this week on Raw.
But like as far as seeing that, like say seeing Seth Rollins, say being fourth, like you're now watching the first place and the fourth place. So I think it'd be good that way for sure.
No, great little discussion we're having here, Newell. I got another one for you that's I'm very curious. This has been fun too. I like getting this. I know I've said it a million times, but I love getting this outsider's perspective. It's one of my favorite things about doing these casual fan episodes. Do wrestlers in the ring, when you see wrestlers taking pain and brutality, and let's use maybe Seth Rollins from this week as an example.
Okay.
When you see Seth Rollins land on a stretcher or land on a chair, or do something in the ring where I mean, don't get me wrong, everything hurts in a way, but I mean, you see something that's like, oh shit, he might have actually hurt himself there.
Yeah.
Does that make you less interested or more interested in what you're watching, and do you want to see more of that or less of that?
See, I think I'm kind of both almost, because like I like the fact of, okay, they actually are getting hurt. This is something for real. Like, this is something that's actually happening. Where like the fake punches and that sort of thing, and then the whole part of like, them kind of overplaying that punch of like, oh my god, this really hurt. I don't really buy into that, but like, especially when he's hurt and he's sitting there bleeding out of his mouth like he was.
Totally.
I definitely
try not to be so specific on that example though, and think more broad scale. Do you want to see these guys actually getting hurt potentially, or do you want to know that they're safe?
I do want to know that they're safe, 100%. I mean, everybody's they're pro athletes, so I don't want to see a pro athlete get hurt to a point where he's never going to be able to perform again.
Okay, good.
But I do want to see more of the realness to it, if that's even a word.
I know what you mean when you say that. You want to see, me getting back to the example I told you not to bring up, but the Seth Rollins. You want to see more stuff where it looks, when you see that, you're like, okay, there's no way around that.
Yeah.
You're getting hurt here.
The best part
But do you want it few and far between? Because I feel like some guys who watch a lot of pro wrestling, they want that all the time. They want the blood, the guts, the gore, the ECW, you know what I mean? The hardcore. And then other people just want the traditional wrestling, and maybe there is like, similar to the sporting and the storyline aspect, there's a middle ground somewhere that WWE sports entertainment, I don't know if I can say the word, that they cover.
Right.
But
I like it because they always have some sort of storyline, and that's perfect for sure. But when you get into the actual matches and that sort of thing, that's where I find like I'm sorry, I literally just lost
it's
my
all
train
hey,
of
bro,
thought.
dude.
I'm
It happens to all of us, and it's the first time on the Pro Wrestling LookBack podcast, so I don't blame you at all. But no, I just, it was more something that I wasn't expecting. I didn't know what you were gonna say. I didn't know what kind of answer I was gonna get out of you for that question, because if I feel, I mean, Don, shoot me a text if you're listening, but I feel like if I were to ask that question to Donovan, not that Donovan wants to see them get hurt, of course he doesn't, but he definitely wants to see more of them taking risks like that where they could be getting potentially injured in the ring, whereas I'm more on the side of, I don't really need that in my pro wrestling. I like it, but the only time I feel like I enjoy it more is when I'm around a casual fan, because I know it's going to pull them in. If I was there by myself just watching that with a bunch of people who know and understand pro wrestling, then I don't need that.
Right, yeah. See, that's where like I think of like, it needs just a little bit.
For sure.
So
because it's harder and harder in 2019 and where we are now to suspend your disbelief or buy into the product like we always talk about on the roundtable.
So totally remember my train of thought now.
There you go. No, that's
so it was at a I'm sorry. Help me out here, man.
I don't know what you're getting at. No
pay-per-view.
Okay,
it was at a
watching
pay-per-view.
a pay-per-view.
Yeah, the ladder match.
Okay.
Of the pay-per-view.
Extreme Rules, probably.
I think it was Extreme Rules, and the ladder match. It was crazy to see, but one of the guys, and I forget who it was. They literally just did like a backflip right onto a ladder.
Oh, landed right on the ladder.
Yeah, so their back literally landed right on the ladder.
I think it might have been Ricochet.
Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? Now that you say that, I think it probably was. I think you're right about that. So
Finn Balor took a lot of really bad bumps in that match too, though.
So, but seeing that, like, that is where I got bought in, and that really opened up my eyes as far as seeing that as a wrestling, like, as just a casual fan, seeing that, like,
that these guys actually do take
and that
pain.
was like kind of like the first pay-per-view that I really saw.
Yeah.
So
and you don't see a lot of that kind of shit on Monday Night Raw.
No,
which
you don't.
All you had seen up until Extreme Rules 2019.
Right. Exactly. So seeing him land right on a ladder and him just sit there like, okay, that really hurt my back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I really got bought in because it's like, okay, now he's actually hurt. So who's going to take advantage of him, or what else is going to happen next in order to create, obviously the champion?
I see. I got more for you, Newell.
Okay.
I got more. This is fun. It's kind of like a little interview. So what kind of things about professional wrestling pull you in and make you want to see more? And maybe what kind of things about pro wrestling that you see on Mondays make you kind of cringe and say, I don't know if I want to see that again.
Okay.
Is there anything jumping out either or that pops into your mind?
Obviously, so the thing that I really don't want to see again is the Seth Rollins thing. I hate to bring it up. It's stuck in my head because
you got to be more specific.
When Brock Lesnar just dummied him. Like, I don't want to see him get that hurt.
So this goes back to what we just talked about then.
Yeah.
So you don't really want to see people getting that injured?
I don't want to see him getting that injured where he's bleeding out of his mouth. I don't think that's not sport. That's not fun to me, and that's not. But okay. That just makes me hate Brock Lesnar, honestly.
But okay, and I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here because that's what WWE wants.
Right.
In the storyline, you've bought in.
Yeah.
You're now bought into the storyline, and you're hating Brock Lesnar because he just beat up the guy that you like.
Yeah.
Too bad. So, and I'm not trying to, but that's the goal from the storyline perspective.
Okay, so hearing that, yes, I hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm thinking more like what kind of things draw you in? Is it the big, stronger, beefier, tough wrestlers like Braun Strowman that you like seeing demolish guys, or is it the little guys like Rey Mysterio and or Ali or Ricochet and the flips moves, or is it more the storylines themselves or the matches? Like, I'm just curious, like, what aside from
I think I really get bought into like the storylines.
But what is it? I'm trying to find that one thing that makes you come back aside from us hanging out and watching Raw together. Is there anything about the product itself that you say, I want to see what happens next? No? Yes?
Yes. What really sticks out to me is kind of like Lacey Evans. And, but it's hilarious to think because, this is just me being a total guy, but like I want to see Lacey Evans and, Becky Lynch sit there and fight in a match because I want to see what's going to happen. So, yeah, I'm bought in. But I think, like, it's knowing the story, and that's where, like, for Lacey Evans and Becky Lynch, when that was going on, it was a storyline that continued on for time and time again, and that's where I really got bought in.
So there you go. So that you just answered your own question there in the sense that, or my question, in the sense that it's the storylines that bring you back, those little cliffhangers that happen week to week. You want to know what happens in the storylines.
And then I'm kind of like, and then I am interested because I know it's going to lead to a match.
Exactly.
So that's where I get bought into, okay, like, let's get to the match now, and who's going to beat who.
Exactly. Okay, so it's the results that you want to see who when you see two characters in a storyline, kind of like everyone, you want to see who comes out on top in the end. So it's similar, I guess. I don't know. I can't really pinpoint what. It's a tough question, I guess, for you being such a casual fan.
It is a little bit of a tough question because, like, the main reason really why I come back is because, like, I love hanging with the boys. I love hanging with you.
Yeah, Donovan, everybody else that comes on.
Everybody.
For sure.
And I mean, and it's fun to just sit here and shoot the shit and, watch Raw and then getting bought into the certain things that.
Like this week with me and you watching Ricochet get his number one contendership match. Like, that type of shit is that's why I love wrestling.
Right.
When I seen Ricochet kick out on that, or I think it was, Ricochet, and I genuinely fist pumped. Like, I was excited that this guy kicked out of the move, and because I didn't know who was going to win. Sometimes the matches are so. I watch so much that I can really, I know what the character.
know who's going to win, and
because of what that character's been through and what they need to do now to go forward. You know what I mean?
Whereas that's where I think, like, you as like a wrestling fan, I think would be better to get bought into not knowing what could happen next.
It's give and take, because sometimes as a big hardcore wrestling fan, you know what's going to happen because, like I said, you know the characters, you know what they've been through and where they're maybe projected, or maybe you know that they're going on vacation in a couple weeks because you've seen it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So it's like you know that this person's not going to win, or you know, whatever the case may be. But, you know, I just I don't know. I was very curious, maybe whether it's hard or easy to answer or not. I was just more curious about your, you know, what pulls you back in. But two more things before we move on. Do you have something in the few months we've been watching Raw, maybe like a favorite moment or a favorite a match or just a storyline, even if you can't pinpoint a moment or a match, something that's stuck out in the last, you know, 3-4 months that you've been sitting down watching with us?
Really that sticks out, and I think it's like when we talk about it, when of like who got hurt and how much they got hurt. I think the one thing that really stuck out to me was when Ricochet got really onto that, like got flipped onto the ladder. Yeah,
at the pay-per-view.
At the pay-per-view of the ladder match, and just
That's
watching
cool.
the ladder match, I think I liked the ladder match because it was different to see.
I feel like that moment. Sorry to cut you off, but
No.
I feel like that moment really opened your eyes, maybe peeled back the skin of pro wrestling,
right,
so to speak.
Yeah,
Because you mentioned it earlier, when you seen that, you're going, "Oh shit, these guys do fucking take some you know,
serious
this
beatings.
isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah,
this isn't
yeah.
you know, fake punches and fake kicks."
And you know what? Now that you say that, it literally is true. Like it literally, that was kind of like the point where I kind of sat there and I was like, okay, so
Maybe I should give this a second chance or a second look.
Yeah, just a second look to see kind of like, okay, what's gonna happen now, and how much is he gonna be hurt, and you know.
Totally. Yeah, no. That's I'm happy that you have that. You can pinpoint that moment because I can almost pinpoint it myself back in 2004, Randy Orton SummerSlam era, and the same kind of moments where it's like, yeah, I'm going to be watching more of this. I can fuck with this stuff.
Yeah,
I like this pro wrestling stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
hopefully more pro wrestling to come for Newell in the future. But one last thing. Who's your favorite wrestler so far, man?
Who's my favorite wrestler so far?
Yeah, or you can give me a top 2, top 3 if you can't pick one.
Okay. I can't really pick one just because, like, I know you're gonna ask me why. So honestly, like,
I don't have a drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry.
So my top like 3 that stand out are Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and Lacey Evans.
So the power couple of Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, and then Lacey Evans because
I'm still disappointed to know that they're a power couple.
That they are together?
Yeah, that they're together.
I've said this on the roundtable before. I still feel like they're sitting at home going, "Fuck! I wish we never told everyone we were together." Like I feel like they probably just wish they kept it because they were dating for a little while, like, and nobody really knew. It was kind of like a secret, and then they told everyone, and then WWE made it a storyline. So now they're like on TV together, but they've kind of been backing up from the Seth and Becky stuff being together on TV the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see what happens after SummerSlam with, I don't know if they're both champions still, or maybe neither one of them will be champion. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Or not still, but I really think Seth is going to take Brock at the...
I really hope he does.
Yeah, we're going to get into
does.
that more next week with Donovan probably doing some kind of SummerSlam preview on the roundtable.
See, and you know, it's funny because, like, you're going to SummerSlam.
Yeah, by myself if I don't add.
I know. So
nobody else from the Pro Wrestling Look Back could come. But hey, me, Donovan, and Chohan, Sammy, shout out to Sammy Chohan. We're going to be at SmackDown Live on Tuesday as well.
Oh, frig.
Following SummerSlam.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's at the ACC for...
Hey, the Scotiabank Arena
sorry,
there, Nicholas.
Scotiabank. I should know that because, you know, I did work there. So
hey, I used to
know
work
that.
there too when it was the Air Canada Center there. I worked there for about a year and a half. So
Yeah.
But shout out to that place. Great building and great place to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those 3. What about Lacey? What is it? Is it just her looks? Or she's good in the ring too? Plus the military thing?
I think the military thing is what really kind of sold me. Knowing that she was like ex-military and that sort of thing.
But also good looking as hell and a great mom.
Yeah. And
how about a round of applause for Lacey Evans? Just because.
Round of applause.
Just because.
Yes.
But yeah, Newell, this has been good. As far as me asking you questions and finding out some little things, about the casual fan's perspective, and I hope I was able to teach you some things, and maybe you teach me some things, and I hope we can do this again in the future. Maybe check back and have like another casual fan questionnaire session.
I'd love it. I'd love to be back on the show, bro. I listen to this show every week, so I love it.
We appreciate it, man. I only got one last thing for you.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
That's it, my friend. Moving on with the show, we have... time for the F1 update, ladies and gentlemen. And if anybody saw Germany last week, holy fuck, that was a race.
Germany, what do you mean?
The German Grand Prix was last weekend, Newell, and you might have to stick with me for this one because, ladies and gentlemen, Newell is sticking around for the rest of the show. Don't you think he's going anywhere? That's F1 update and all. But yeah, so last week, Newell, we had the German Grand Prix in Germany, obviously. This is the home race of my favorite team, Mercedes, the team that's kind of been dominating all season. But you know how it is. They've been doing very well since 2014. So that's to be expected as far as this season goes. But this race, 125 years of Mercedes-Benz Motorsport. This is the 200th Grand Prix for Mercedes.
Wow.
So which isn't, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that high because Ferrari's got upwards of 700, 800 Grand Prix. Mercedes took a long gap in the middle there where they weren't in Formula One as a team. But
I think you said that they were just making engines.
Engines, yeah. They were just an engine supplier for a long time. But anyway, so they had a nice livery, white out on the front of the car with kind of, because the original Mercedes was white. And then back in the 50s, they stripped the paint off of the car to save weight. And under the paint was the silver. So that's why the Mercedes is known for being the Silver Arrow.
Oh, okay.
Because back in the day, the car was stripped of its paint right down to the metal frame.
Right, in order to get lighter.
Which was silver, so then that's how they became the Silver Arrows, which we have now today.
Okay, well, you know what? You just taught me something new, so...
I learned that last week, so it's okay. So anyway, so half the car was painted in kind of a white livery, which is another word for paint job I talked about last week on the show, and it looked like it was getting peeled off. It was really cool. Go check out the pictures. I talked about it last week on the show. But anyway, Mercedes did not have a good race this weekend.
Uh-oh.
They had a horrible race weekend. But all I have to say about this race is we like rain. Because as much as I'm a Mercedes fan, when you can throw a wrench into a Formula One race and have this much chaos and this much not knowing what the fuck is going to happen next, I'm more of a racing fan. I'm more of a Formula One fan than I am a Mercedes-Benz Petronas F1 team fan.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
you have your team, but you're more of the
sport.
Yeah.
I like the sport more than the team.
Yeah.
Basically, is kind of where I'm getting at. But so qualifying was Lewis in first, Max in second, and Valtteri Bottas down in third. Another bad qualifying for Ferrari, man. They got to figure this shit out, and I fucking chirp them every week on the show, but they've yet to do anything. They sent Sebastian Vettel out in his big redemption race because he was leading the race last year in his home race, German, obviously.
Okay.
Hit the wall, crashed. So this was redemption from last year after crashing while in the lead. Goes out for qualifying and the car fucks off on him in Q1, so has to start in 20th, last place.
Wow.
Horrible place to start for him. And then Leclerc, same sort of thing happened in Q2 where he had to stop, so he started in 10th place. So the two Ferraris are literally starting in 20th and 10th. Not a great day for Ferrari.
Clearly not.
But like I said, Lewis, Max, and Valtteri all up in the qualifying top three. And then we got, like I said, we love rain. The beginning of the race, man, it was a little bit of rain, so they started out with a safety car, but they didn't start the race under safety car. They did 3 or 4 laps to kind of remove some water because these cars, the tires that they have chuck a lot of water, so if they go over the same patch of asphalt, 4 laps in a row, it's borderline dry at that point.
Right.
And then, so the beginning of the race was pretty awesome because there was no crashes, which I like. And I've talked about it on the show, I do a lot of sim racing, so I can appreciate when I see, 20 guys going through 5 corners in the rain, tiptoeing around and not hitting each other.
Yeah.
I can appreciate the effort that's going in there.
Yeah.
And the risk taking that is involved in being a Formula One driver. But what do I want to get to next? I guess turn 18. I might as well just get right to it. I want to say 5 people crashed turn 18 at the end. There was a bit of a drag strip. Well, not a bit. It was a drag strip. So the turn went kind of in a U shape, and then to the outside of the U was this drag racing strip. It's used, obviously, not on Formula One weekends. Well, that area was slippery as a motherfucker and wet as hell because anybody that went even remotely off to the side of that corner was completely out in no man's land and their car just slid right into the wall. Gone, right into the wall. So we had turn 18 taking out Charles Leclerc, another Ferrari driver who could have been in the lead at this point and then went off. kind of crazy because the Ferrari driver last year, like I said, Vettel, who hit the wall.
Yeah.
Following that, I don't know the exact order, but we had Hulkenberg go into the wall. We had Lewis go into the wall, snap his left of his front wing off, and then drive into the pits. But you're supposed to go around this cone, so like it's hard to describe in audio, but he went to the left of the cone rather than going to the right of the cone and around it. So he got a penalty for cutting and going left. But the way you look at it is if he were to go right, then he'd be facing fucking oncoming traffic. So it doesn't really make sense to ask him to go right around the cone and then come in the pits.
Yeah.
He just came straight in the pits.
But yet still gets a penalty for that.
Exactly, yeah. You got a 5-second time penalty for that. And he was coming into the pits with his team not knowing. So they were getting ready for his teammate to come in. He came in with half a fucking front wing, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? So anybody who's really interested, go look up Mercedes-Benz pit stop from the German Grand Prix, because I think it was like 2.5 minutes, or maybe not 2.5 minutes, but about a minute compared to 3 seconds or 4 seconds on a regular pit stop.
Sometimes a minute is huge in F1
race.
Yeah.
So it might not have been a full minute, but it was a long time, man. They didn't have the right tires. They had to go back and get a different wing to put on the car. They were running around. I seen a little clip where they played like some I don't know, old 50s like funny fast music, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
And it was like the guys all running around with this funny music in the background because they were so like unorganized and they didn't know what to do. That part was really, I don't know, not good for Lewis, but like I said, I like when a little wrench gets thrown into the table here and we've got, do we need soft tires? Do we need rain tires? So guys weren't sure. Guys were throwing on slick tires because they thought maybe it had dried out enough that you could get away with it on slick tires. And then maybe that didn't work for some guys. And then later in the race, we end up with one of the Canadians, I have to talk about this, leading the fucking race because he took a chance on soft tires. So he ends up leading. Didn't last long because after all these crashes, Lewis going out, and then Bottas later, another Mercedes driver going out late in the race, coming around turn 1, catching his back tire on a bit of the wet track, spinning out, hitting the wall. We had about 5 people all spin out here. So we're looking at some different guys in the top 10, top 5.
Right.
Because typically those spots in Formula 1 are, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull. These guys kind of handle the top 6 spots unless there's chaos.
Yeah.
But with all these different tires and guys jumping on different strategies, it really changed everything up. So we had Max Verstappen up in first, Lance Stroll was in second, and then Daniel Kvyat was in third. 2 guys kind of in lower level teams, Racing Point for Stroll and Toro Rosso, which is Red Bull's kind of farm team.
Okay.
But in F1, the farm team's in F1, if that makes any sense to you.
So can I ask, what teams are they with, these guys that...
Which 2?
Well, the one that came in first place and second place.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm going to get there. So I was just talking about nearing the end of the race, we had Max Verstappen in first place, racing for Red Bull.
Okay.
And then Lance Stroll was in second, Kvyat was in third. Kvyat eventually ended up getting past Lance, and we had Vettel from 20th.
Oh.
Charging up the field because Bottas had crashed, the Mercedes had went out, and Vettel's charging his way up in 4th place now at this point with safety cars and crashes and all the rain and the chaos that had happened by this point. Vettel gets past Stroll, the Canadian, gets himself into 3rd, and then eventually gets past Kvyat up into 2nd. And that was your podium. It was Max Verstappen, the Dutch fucking heartthrob right now, sweeping the F1 circuit. This guy is 20 years old, Newell, and he's been in F1 for 5 years.
Wow.
No, 21, sorry, and he's been in for 5 years because he came in when he was like 17. So, which is insane. He was the youngest driver ever to be in Formula 1.
To think like he's my little brother's age, and this guy's driving a freaking car that goes how fast?
340K on a straightaway.
Jesus Christ.
And think
Excuse
he's
my language.
No, dude, we swear on the show. It's all good. Parental advisory, and
yeah,
you get it. But no, I was just gonna say he's been driving this car since he was 17. So it's not like it's the first year now. We had Lance Stroll, again, Canadian, driving when he was 18. But I'm getting a little long-winded for the F1 update. Basically, I just wanted to give a massive round of applause to Toro Rosso for getting themselves on the podium, for Sebastian Vettel for making his way from 20th up to 2nd, and Max Verstappen winning his 2nd race of the year in a car that I bet you at the beginning of the year, if you would have made a bet saying that this Red Bull car would win 2 races before the Ferrari has won 1, you would have probably had 0 people make that fucking bet.
I bet.
There you go.
I bet.
So
well, it's Ferrari. You got to think about it. Ferrari's like, everybody knows Ferrari. That's what people know.
And you being, again, kind of the outsider for the Formula One, they are Ferrari, but they're not the Ferrari of old or the Ferrari that you may think of. They're not quite the team that they used to be in the sense of winning races, but they still do well, and they're struggling hard this season, I would say more on the strategy side than anything else, and the way they set up some of their matches. But going forward, like I said, I just wanted to shout out Kvyat. I know I already gave him the applause and everything, but first time Toro Rosso has been on the podium since 2008, and the last time they were on the podium was this guy Vettel that I'm talking about, who made his way up from 20th to 2nd. He was racing in Toro Rosso back then. Like I said earlier, Toro Rosso is kind of the farm team of Red Bull. The guys who are in Toro Rosso want to make their way into Red Bull eventually.
Right.
And also, me being somebody that works for Honda, first double podium for Honda since 1995. First podium for Honda was in Austria this season since 2008, but this is the first double Honda podium since 1988 or 85. I can't remember.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think 88.
So history was made then.
History was made for Honda, that's for sure.
That's sweet.
But yeah, so no spin out for Vettel again. I would call it, I guess, redemption for him in the sense that he was able to not win the race that he couldn't win last year, but make his way from 20th up to 2nd. Pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to him for that. And then a couple little tiny things. No more Hockenheim. This track has not been renewed for next year. We're not going to have a German Grand Prix next year as of right now. I don't like this at all, being a Mercedes fan and somebody who loves motorsport. Germany is pretty synonymous with motorsport. I feel like this country needs and deserves a Formula One Grand Prix. So if they don't have one next year, I really hope they get it figured out for 2021, because it's just a country that needs to be on the calendar.
What about like a new track or something like that? Like
they have 2 tracks that they can kind of rotate between, because it's super expensive to build a track and takes a long time. But they have the Nürburgring, and then they have this Hockenheim track that they've kind of rotated it through. And since I've been really hardcore into Formula One in 2016, they have gone in and out of having a German Grand Prix, not having a German Grand Prix, having a German Grand Prix. So,
okay.
I mean, there was one, I believe, in 16, nothing in 17, yes in 18, yes in 19, and then not going to have one for 2020. So, I mean, who knows going forward, but either way, I love this track, and anybody, again, who does the simulator, it's a fun fucking track to do on the simulator.
Okay, well, you're going to have to show me this track then on the simulator one time.
Absolutely, bro. No problem with that. Only other thing, I guess, long-winded F1 update this week, but it was an epic race, and we have a back-to-back race weekend because this weekend is the Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring. The Monaco without the barriers. I have to say it. I said it last week. That's what everybody calls this track because it's super tight and windy, but it's not, on the streets like Monaco. It's just not a lot of passing opportunities, and I don't know. I hope we get some more rain because this was insane, and I wouldn't mind some more craziness like that. But either way, I think Red Bull's going to be competing at this race because, A, it's not really a power-dependent circuit. Again, not that the Honda isn't there anymore. We can see the Honda has, gained a lot in the last 4 years.
Right. But
their car has always been more of an aero-dependent car and better in those tight tracks where aero is more dependent than power.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
So I'm assuming Red Bull will have a good weekend. And then after that, it's 3 weeks off. Summer break for Formula One. They take the 3 weeks off there. So I'm still going to do probably a shortened F1 update on the show every week, maybe more just talking about driver silly season and where people might be going next year and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. All right, Noel, you want to get into a little bit of Raw and then get out of here?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's get into whatever you want to get into.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that happened. I mean, we mentioned a little bit about Seth, but holy fuck.
Insane, man. Insane. And you know what? Like, and you always say this, like, me as a casual fan, like, it really, really bought me in to see Seth
taking the bumps that he was taking.
Yeah, like, to take that much of a beating, but to sit there and, like I said before, like bleeding out of his mouth.
Yeah,
like,
showing internal bleeding.
Yeah, like you're showing internal bleeding. So obviously getting thrown on the chair, what was it, 4 or 5 times?
Directly on the chair.
Yeah,
And anybody
exactly.
who didn't see it, go watch the clip because the Brock set up the chair as if you're going to sit on it and then straight up F5 fucking Seth with his ribs first right onto the side of the chair like 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got taken away in a stretcher backstage,
And then he
pulled out of the
pulls
fucking stretcher and did the same thing on top of the stretcher.
Yeah. And that stretcher ain't going nowhere, so it's not like it's, it's whatever. Like, that stretcher is staying where it is, and they're built to hold humans like...
Yeah, it's a real stretcher.
Yeah,
it's not a fake stretcher.
Yeah, exactly.
And he landed ribs first right on the side of the thing. So
you know what, and that's where I
shout out to Seth.
Yeah, shout out to Seth for sure. Because that's where I sit there and say, like, Seth, I hope you win at SummerSlam because I just want to see Brock Lesnar cry the blues because he took his money in the bank to take the Universal Champion, and I just want to see him cry the blues.
Yeah, I hear you. I love how bought into this storyline you are.
I am,
it's
and
really
you know
cool.
what? It's
So
I'm definitely looking forward to see what happens next for sure.
So am I, and I have to get it out now because we gave our praises, so now I have to give my fucking negatives for this. Because I don't know about you, but if we don't see some fucking long-term selling from this, what we saw on Monday, I'm going to be not a happy camper. Because Seth better be acting hurt or not on TV or taped up or unable to compete next week, because if not, then what the fuck is the point of all this?
You know what? And you saying that, that's so true, because having internal bleeding like that, you obviously know that all that was not fake at all.
Well, no, some of it might have been.
Some of it
you
might
never
have been,
know. I don't
but-
want to, wipe the slate clean for you being the casual fan, but you never know. He could have had something put in his mouth that was blood. You never know. I'm not saying it was, but I try and look at this shit from a storyline perspective anyway.
Yeah.
The same way when I watch fucking Breaking Bad, I know they're not actually cooking meth.
Right.
You know what I mean? So whether the blood's real or not, when I'm watching it, it's real. Just like when I watch Breaking Bad, and I know it's a dated reference, but the meth is real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or when the reference I use all the time on this show is Iron Man isn't fucking real.
Yeah.
But when we go see the movie,
We want to pretend
are you sitting
yeah.
there watching the movie going, Iron Man's not real?
No,
The people
I love Iron Man.
There you go. The people that are doing that aren't watching it. So
Yes.
you don't need to
Yeah.
worry about those
Yeah.
people because,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
So I think I agree with you on that.
I want to
Like,
see
really
some
hope-
long-term
yeah.
selling from
Yeah.
Seth. I
Yeah.
want to see him, affected from this beatdown.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, as of right now, this match shouldn't be taking place.
No, 100%. And you know what? I totally agree with you on that because it'd be kind of nice to see like this match carry on to something bigger.
I want to see them have some commitment in the sense that, like, I'm going to the fucking show, and I'd be willing to give up my Seth Rollins Brock Lesnar match if they actually, sold this like a real injury.
Right. Yeah.
To the point where he's not wrestling on SummerSlam for his fucking championship match because Brock beat him up so bad that he can't fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that I want.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think that sort of shit is where, like, when you get into that, like, you think about it, like, maybe is, and, like, that's where, if that happened, I think about it is Brock's scared now because he's sitting there going after him to, go after him and do that.
Oh, I muted my mic. Jesus, Murphy. It's all good, Noel. You should have said your mic's muted.
Sorry, I didn't.
It's okay.
I didn't think you'd want that on the show.
I don't mind. We keep it raw for the listeners here,
Right, yeah,
right? No pun intended. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. What else from Raw stuck out to you? We had the 24/7 stuff at the beginning of the show with R-Truth and Carmella versus Drake Maverick and his wife, and then Mike Kanellis kind of being on the bottom of the dog pile and coming out with the championship.
Yeah.
And then his wife making him lay down in the back.
See, that I'm not huge on that at all, and I wasn't. Like, I don't like her at all. I don't.
Maria?
I don't know why. I just don't. I just feel like she's kind of like that girl, like, I have everything and you should give me everything type thing.
Yeah.
So
No, and again, I think I don't want to be that guy to pop the. I think some of this stuff you buy in more than you think you do.
Right.
Because when you make comments like that, and they're good, I'm not like, this is what we want in pro wrestling.
Oh, 100%,
you want to be able to look at it and be like, fuck this girl, she's a bitch.
Yeah.
You don't want to look at it like she's an actress, because you know what I mean. She's not. Well, she is, but you know what I mean.
But I think that's like the thing of like being here on Mondays is like, okay, like we're watching Raw. So, like,
you kind of forget about everything else for 3 hours.
You need to kind of forget about everything, so you need to kind of, like, just look at it and, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think buying in, definitely it buys me in a lot more than I think so, of course.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't want to get too deep into Raw because I don't know, there's not a whole lot other stuff that was really worth talking about other than that. Maria winning the title. I guess the tag team championships switched over this week, and anybody who's kind of upset that we're not really diving too deep into this stuff, hey, we've never said that we're a show that covers Raw beat for beat or covers this show and covers that show. This is a random pro wrestling topic discussion show.
Yeah.
We mix them in.
See, so if I can bring this up, the one thing that really stuck out to me was when Rey Mysterio, Ricochet and Rey Mysterio. So Rey Mysterio got his mask ripped off
by Andrade,
and hides his face and everything. But I love that, and this is where I really get bought in, and this is where you kind of asked me is like, I like the fact that other people are like friends there. So like, Ricochet comes out and he's like, you're not allowed to do this. Like, I am literally going to sit here and kick your fucking ass.
Other good guys will stick up for good guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's where, like, I'll sit there and go, you know what? I like Ricochet now because, you know what?
You just stood up
for a guy that just got his ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
And you sit there and now kick this other guy's ass. So it's like, you know what? Me and you are a team now. Like, you know what? We're going to sit there and kind of help each other out and that sort of thing. So I like that. And yeah, I definitely like the fact that Ricochet won and now is playing in SummerSlam.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
What did I tell you, Newell? I told you you're learning these things and you're picking up on the little things now. I like it, but
Star Wars there too.
Oh, I told you that's
oh yeah.
I gotta always have my Star Wars mixed in somewhere. But two things, and then I guess we can wrap it up. But the Usos, OG, Bullet Club, whatever they're called, the club OGs, whatever the hell, what is their name? The OCBC, or whatever the fuck, I don't know.
Yeah, the OCs, I think.
The
it
OCs
is. Yeah,
is what,
like
original club.
Yeah, the original club. I think they're trying to go for. Yeah, with
which
like
they were the original club. I mean, out of this is totally something that you wouldn't know, but them in New Japan, they were the Bullet Club, and that was the original Bullet Club back. That's kind of what that's referring to.
Oh, okay.
Is them being this group called the Bullet Club when they were in New Japan Pro Wrestling. AJ and the same two guys.
Oh, so AJ does come from
New Japan.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
AJ kind of comes from all over, but he did spend a significant amount of time in New Japan before making the jump to WWE.
There you go. I just learned something new again.
Hey, man, that's what the show's about. But yeah, so they became the new tag team champions. I got to be honest, I missed most of this match because I was kind of running in and out.
Yeah.
But I came back in, and you guys, you said the match was pretty good itself, and you were mixed up with the tags, though.
I was because when they were saying it, one of the guys was on the outside of the ring and tagged like the one guy that was sitting there, like literally just tagged himself in, but yet he was still on the outside of the ring and then got on top and then jumped in, and then it just turned into a big thing, and then they just grabbed the one person and tagged him. So I kind of got mixed up because it was so quick.
And as far as who was actually tagged.
Yeah, as far as who was actually tagged and who was actually in. And that's where, like you say, I get bought into the rules and that sort of thing.
Well, we'll get to that in just a minute.
I think, like, it ending very quickly kind of lost me in the whole match itself.
Did you like the title change? Was it the first time you've seen a title change on Monday Night Raw?
I gotta be honest, what do you mean by title? Like,
meaning, like, somebody won a belt from another guy and the titles changed hands.
Oh, yeah, seeing that, yeah. I do like that because, like, at least you kind of see something different.
Yeah. And they looked excited, I mean, obviously, but they looked excited to win those belts like it actually meant something.
Yeah.
And now they've both got belts, as well as AJ having the U.S. belt.
Yeah.
Which, again, will lead to right now, me and you were fucking excited about Ricochet winning that match, eh?
Yeah. Now he's going to fight AJ at SummerSlam. Yeah. So, yeah, you know what? I think seeing Ricochet win that was huge for sure.
That was like, dude, I got to be honest. Sometimes during Raw, I watch so much of it every week, I never miss it, that it's just like it becomes monotonous. It's the same. But I was fully engaged in that second part of that match, like you said, after Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And then in the finish, like there was a point, I think I talked about it earlier, probably an hour ago on the roundtable, but when I seen the kick out, I genuinely fist bumped, and I was excited to see somebody, to see him kick out and then go for the 450? No, 620 splash, I think is what he calls it.
Really? Okay.
Because it's more, it's like two and a half rotations or so.
So, and this is where I started thinking about it, is in the beginning they started showing AJ Styles backstage on the big screen, just showing him kind of overseeing the match of what's happening, like between Rey Mysterio and Andrade, sorry. So I think it was kind of cool. But
you're reminding the fans, like, hey, these guys are competing to fight against
this guy. But my thing is, like, it would have been cool to see what AJ's thing when Ricochet won, to see AJ's face on, like, oh, am I facing Ricochet? Like,
yeah, see, that's another great point, man. That's the little camera type stuff and the production where it's like, hey, we would have liked to see the reaction of the guy who's now facing this number one contender.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, man. That's almost a Wade Kellerism, as anybody that listens to the show would know what I mean on that one. And then the final segment of the night, we got like kind of a brawl. It was supposed to be, I think, a 6-man or something. I don't know, but it was Joe, Roman, Usos, the club, everybody was fighting each other, and it was chaos everywhere.
You know what? And that and I'll be honest with you, I ended up actually getting lost in that, because I ended up actually having to ask you what was going on there.
What was going on?
Yeah.
I want to bring up, and this probably be the last thing we talk about tonight, but I wanted to bring up, you said to me that night, and this stuck out to me so much. You were saying, well, I thought they did this for pins. And it's just like, it's so black and white, which is good, because it's just like, yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
To have wrestling matches, to win matches.
To win matches, yeah.
To get a pin, and then, which leads back to what we talked about earlier with the ranking system, which we should have.
Yeah.
When we win, it means something, because it means we're closer to winning a title shot, similar to the UFC.
But, like, and if everything's supposed to be a story for this, there's supposed to be an ending. There's, like, your beginning, your middle, and your end. So the match, to me,
there was no match. It was a brawl.
Exactly, it was a brawl. But like when you watch matches, sorry to cut you off,
it's okay.
But like when you watch matches, you want to see that ending. So you want to see, okay, this person won. So we end it there.
And I think what they were trying to go with in this specific segment was, all these guys do not like each other. And we can't keep chaos because they just want to brawl. It happens in the streets. It happens with hooligans and gangs, and fights break out. And I think what they were trying to do here was show that sometimes in our environment with these people who are paid to fight each other, sometimes shit happens and they just fight, and they don't
just need to fight.
And they don't care about the match at this point. They care about, just like when you get in a fight with a guy at a fucking bar or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't want to win. You just want to fight the guy. You want to beat him up.
You don't care what happens. You just want to beat.
You want to fight. So I think that's what they were going with here. And then to have Roman get the spear, and they still got a quote unquote good finish because there was no pin, but he got the spear. All the bad guys got beat up and scurried away with the tail between their legs. The good guys prevailed. The crowd is happy. The show is over.
Right. So hearing it that way, yes, I think that's where I need to...
In this scenario.
Yeah, in that scenario. And I think
But I like... Sorry to cut you off, but the core of what you're saying is good, because you're focusing on the whole reason that we're here in the first place.
Yes, yeah.
Sometimes I think they get caught up on too much of the everything else, and they forget that, hey, all these seats in this ring, or in this arena, are pointed at that ring for a reason, because that's why we're here.
Yeah. So... But I like your point of that, like, that it's now, and I think that's probably where they try to get it to be more, like, everybody just wanted to fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, okay, here's the storyline. It was just, let's just fight, guys, because, we're all, mad at one another or whatever, and it's just time to fight.
Yeah, no, and they just had to get their anger out, and then at the same time, that's also, like I said, a quote-unquote good finish for the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, man, I thank you for coming on. This has been awesome.
Bro, I love this. I really hope I can come back again.
Absolutely. We'll hopefully get you in here with Donovan or somebody else on the show. It would be nice to have a kind of a three-way convo with you as well.
100%.
And, you know, just it's been fun to, like I always say, get that casual fan's perspective. And we'll definitely have you on again. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for the Roundtable this week. Like I said, this is the Roundtable episode 47. If you don't already, hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at PW LookBack on both of those. Give us a subscribe, follow, like, share, comment. Just keep commenting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything. We appreciate it all. Send us DMs at the PW LookBack. Send us an email, prowrestlinglookback@gmail.com. We talked about it earlier. The backpack's coming. But in the meantime, go get yourself a mug or a t-shirt. teespring.com/prowrestlinglookback. If I didn't already say it, the email prowrestlinglookback@gmail.com. And don't forget the new sponsor of the Pro Wrestling LookBack Podcast, Pure Oxide CBD Oils. You can get them on Instagram at Pure Oxide CBD. Check them out. Like I said, guys, I've been trying this stuff for I don't know, a few days now, and I'm really noticing the mental side of it, and I'm waiting to see kind of with my back pain that I do deal with on a regular basis. I've already noticed a little bit of it kind of getting better, but I'm hoping that will go away in the future.
I know for a fact, like, Herdo hurt his shoulder there, so
yeah,
it definitely works for sure.
No, yeah, check out some of that, and I'll have more information about CBD and Pure Oxide CBD in the future on future roundtables, and we'll be getting some stuff on the Instagram page as well. But I just wanted to give them their first kind of shout out on the show. I guess that's pretty much it. Like I said, follow all that good stuff. Like, share, comment. Like I said, I don't know why I said it 3 times, but do it. Give me a follow at Salsa, SCELSA. Donovan is at JustDon44.
And Newell at Newly31.
There,
I keep forgetting that.
There he is. It's okay. That's typical of the guests on the Look Back. I'm Nick.
I'm Nick.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Stay classy.